In today's show, we have another of our popular Dynamite Conspiracies episodes where we discuss, is Donald Trump being targeted for wanting to release the JFK files?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh?
Come on, you know what I'm going to ask you. Beat me to it. Say hi to our audience. Come on, come on.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind saying hello to the audience. But besides, hello, audience. I've got
I've
another.
mellowed him. I mean, we used to battle at this stage.
No, no longer.
I've worn him down.
I'm too much in a hurry to share this pearl of wisdom from. No, I know you love them. Dr. Isaiah Henry Makwatamba.
He's made up, isn't he? You have to please admit to me he's made up, because I cannot find a single it's about him, his book, nothing. He's made up by you, isn't he? Come on, be honest. Reveal the truth.
Is the poor chap, he must be turning in his grave. It's just you really malign. First of all, you malign me, and then you malign him. Anyway, let's because this is one of his best. Okay. To the clean of heart.
The what?
To the clean of heart.
Okay.
The silent leaf speaks louder than a roaring forest. To the clean of heart. The silent leaf speaks louder than a roaring forest. Wow. Amazing. This is a bit much. Every time I give one of these words of wisdom,
why that is wow. Go on, you explain it.
You crack up.
I do, well, because they're so bonkers.
Well, look, you know a leaf, right?
I know what it is. Yeah, go on. Get on with the show, but every time you bring this piece to our show,
you set me off.
Laughing.
I'm trying to be serious here. You know a leaf, yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you know a forest, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So when the silent leaf, okay, to the pure of heart, it speaks, but only the pure of heart can hear it. And surrounded by a forest of silent leaves, what would you hear? The roaring forest. Wow. Very disrespectful to the poor Dr. Isaiah Henry Makwatamba. But anyway, all right, well, I do try. I'm sure the audience gets it. I mean, you know.
The audience are probably scratching their heads and thinking, what is this?
I think they get it. I think they get it.
Oh,
anyway.
Dear. Anyway, let's move on with our show. And before we continue with our topic, even though it's one of these Dynamite Conspiracy ones, so you'll hear with tainted breath, I want to again encourage our audience to keep liking our show, commenting, and subscribing on whatever platform you happen to be consuming it on. We do get back to your comments eventually, but if you want a quicker response, then please join us on the TNT Talkers Facebook page. Totally open. You can engage with us. We comment on there often, and you can get a response immediately. And you can say whatever you like, really. Say you like the show, you want us to cover a particular topic or subject, or even take swipes at us. Hopefully Tayo more than me, but hey, whatever your fancy, you can do that on TNT Talkers on Facebook. So please join us on there. If you don't want to join us on Facebook, then obviously comment on whatever platform you happen to be on. Right. As I already mentioned briefly, this is another of our popular Dynamite Conspiracies episodes. Now, I will frame the topic very quickly. For those of you listening in here, we've recorded this show the end of September 2024. And Donald Trump has currently been, well, he's survived a couple of assassination attempts. So we're discussing, is Donald Trump being targeted for wanting to release the JFK files. Tayo, you came up with this as the conspiracy because you believe there could be something in it.
Yes, yes, I do. When Trump announced it a few weeks or months, I think it was a few months ago now, he announced he was going to unseal these JFK files because, believe it or not, the files are sealed.
They are.
And you think if the government didn't have anything to hide, the files wouldn't be sealed. So the first thing, that's the first spore. You know me and the, trail of spores. Follow the spores. That's the first. That's the first spore. That's the first thing to think about. Why wouldn't? What are they hiding? Basically, it boils down to what is being hidden. And this assassination happened 61 years ago? November
JFK, you're talking,
in
not
November,
Trump
yes.
attempt. Yeah.
Yes, JFK's assassination happened 61 years ago. Surely whoever was involved in that would have left the planet by now. I mean, the 30s and 40s, they'd be either in the late 90s or hundreds. So you'd think, look, there's no problem. So you've got to start thinking in terms of if it is still sealed, then it goes beyond individuals. And that's another sport to take note of. Okay, so when he announced this, I thought, dude, what are you doing? Okay, it's still sealed, man. I mean, there's a reason. People out there who don't want it unsealed. Shut up about it. Get into office. Sign an executive order, and it's just like a whammy. It just comes out of nowhere. Bam. The executive order is signed. It's too late to stop it. It's unsealed.
Do you think he's decided to do this? Because I thought the only reason he agreed to do this was with his partnership with Robert Kennedy, who was in the election running, although he didn't really have much chance of success, and he was going to take away some of the votes from Trump's side, Republican side, really. So him dropping out of the race and endorsing Donald Trump, which is strange in itself, considering the Kennedys have always been Democrats. He has agreed as part of that endorsement to release the files and open them up. But I can see many, many problems with this if this is indeed the reason why there have been a couple of recent episodes where people have taken pot shots at Donald Trump, and the security services have been not inept, but haven't been performing at their best in order to keep him safe. Let's put it that way.
Yes, well, first of all, Trump's. I don't know. I believe you're not correct when you say that RFK, I believe it's called.
Yeah,
Robert, whatever. Robert,
yeah.
whatever.
Frank Kennedy.
Is it Frank?
I think it's
okay.
Frank. I'm not, don't quote me on that.
I've only ever called him by his initials. So RFK, and I believe it's a junior even. RFK Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. He couldn't secure a fair electoral. This is what he says, by the way. He couldn't secure a fair electoral process as presidential candidate within the Democrat Party, not Democratic, Democrat Party, okay?
Okay.
So he became an independent because he wanted there to be a proper electoral process. Joe Biden would have had to run. He would have run against Joe Biden, and I think he knew that people would see Biden's frailty, and that would give him an opportunity to secure the nomination. The powers that be, we spoke about this in our last episode, the permanent state and the party machinery, I think in this particular case, the party machinery in the Democrat Party decided against that. So he went out as an independent. He wasn't going to draw a lot of votes from Donald Trump because he was a Democrat. But he could have played spoiler. Just by being on the ballot, he could have taken votes away from whoever the Democrat Party candidate. It's going to be Harris now, we know, but we didn't know at the time. We thought it was going to be Biden. He would have taken votes away from the Democrat candidate, making life easier for Trump. So actually, by dropping out of the race, in a way, he's not been as useful to Trump as he might have been otherwise.
I'm not so sure about that, because a lot of the things that he was saying were more aligned with some of the rhetoric that Trump was saying. And he had quite a following people who were more Republican that were actually Democrats, because they liked what he said and didn't like the Democratic Party, and they didn't like Trump. So he was an alternative that still sort of was speaking the right side of the fence, if you know what I mean. And so they were aligning with him. So he was actually taking away a number of Republican votes from Trump, in actual fact. That's what I read.
Okay, so there are people towards the left who are still middling left and not extreme. It's kind of weird because
it's any parties like that. You've got factions, don't they? They all, they're never one end or the other. They're going to be in the middle or to the right of the left, if you know what I mean.
The trouble is, what we call the left now is pretty extreme. So almost anybody who is in the extreme is middle by default. But those people in the middle who are comfortable with voting for RFK have this orange man bad mentality. There is nothing that Trump can do which will ever be all right in their eyes. So whilst they will be prepared to vote for a spoiler candidate, they will absolutely not vote for Trump under any circumstances.
Indeed.
So that's what that's
right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So the thing is, again, no, actually, Trump spoke about unsealing the JFK files whilst RFK was still a candidate.
Well, that's interesting.
So when
I thought it was only after.
No. So when RFK, what is the word called? There's this word they use in America. When he endorsed Trump, his endorsement speech said, and by the way, one of the reasons that I am actually endorsing Trump is that he wants to unseal his files. So it came afterwards. So unless you want to argue that Trump was played, four-dimensional chess and said he was going to unseal the JFK files because he was going to try to attract RFK, but I don't think that's true. Number one, I mean, like I said, I think RFK would have played a better spoiler for him if he had stayed in the race.
Interesting. See, RFK's got skin in the game. He wants.
Well, now, yes.
Well, no, but he wants Trump to open up the files. So that was music to his ears, because I dare say the Kennedy family, have all wanted to know the truth, in a way, of who was behind some of the claims of JFK's assassination, surely. But if Trump is going to attempt this, I don't think he can.
Well, he's promised RFK that he's going to.
He's going to attempt it.
And guess who's going to be the head of that commission?
RFK.
Correct. He's made it clear. So the two of them have made it clear that yes, Trump is going to get into office and he's going to get this commission set up and he's going to unseal the files, and RFK is going to head the commission so that it's all out in the open and everything. We know that we're going to get to the bottom of it all.
When you say out in the open, this is an interesting term. Is this out in the open for senators and people of the House to be able to see it, or is it going to be available for Joe Public, the man on the street? Because if the files are opened, I dare say it will only be opened for Congress, because there will be perhaps things in it that are not for the eyes of the general public, because it could be deemed dangerous for national security. I'll give an example. If as part of the files there were some covert operations that were done by the CIA and the FBI as part of the investigative process during the assassination of JFK, those things, those practices at the time may still be being used today. So by revealing those files and those practices, you could be endangering agents in the field now who are deep undercover. So by opening up the files that had CIA and FBI operations maybe listed in there, you then compromise in national security by opening those up. Whereas if it was only revealed to Congress and the senators and the people there, then they could be reassured that that bit is okay. But really, would you want it to go further to the general public?
I would find it to be almost incomprehensible that anybody could get away with that. So you're saying you're going to open up the files, but you open up the files, only a select number of people see it, and then they say, yeah, we've seen it, don't worry about it, everything is fine, and we're resealing it again. I mean, even if JFK himself came out and said, yeah, don't worry, guys, there's nothing in there. Even if he came out and said, it'd be like, well, if there's nothing in there, show us. And if there is, and if you can't show us, then there's something in there. So one way or another, it's a no-go. It's a sort of thing that would happen in Britain, I think. I think we could the British government could get away with shenanigans like that. But given America's rather rambunctious attitude to just general discourse and their lawfare, I think that would be a Supreme Court matter, and the public has a right to know and all this sort of thing.
The public has a right to know. I get that, but if there is some Secret Service operations that were used at the time to dig in things like Lee Harvey Oswald's past, for instance, where he spent time in Russia, and if the CIA had to be involved there, that would have been listed in the files. So imagine the diplomacy problems that could entail. Let's say, I don't know, they obviously this is not factual, I'm just giving an example. Let's say the CIA had operatives in Russia or friendly Russian agents who were providing information to the CIA during this time about the whereabouts of Lee Harvey Oswald. So if that then was revealed, imagine the repercussions and the embarrassment of the Russian system and the American system, that they were, sending secret information between one another that won't look good in the public's eyes. So there's going to be some things that clearly are going to be very sensitive in these files. So you would have thought that if they were released to the Senate, most of the public would be sort of maybe not happy, but would understand it if it was just the senators that saw this information. Because at the moment, I think I dare say, as you've rightly said, maybe just a handful of people know now. The senators don't know.
So I don't think that's how America would. My gut instinct that is not how Americans would react. They don't know now because it's sealed and it's a dead issue. Then it becomes unsealed. So they think, well, this is my right to know. And then you tell them all over again, no, don't worry, we're going to sort of reseal it again. And your senators know what's going on. It's just not going to fly. I mean, the people with vested interest, the newspapers, the media, these people, they want to print, they want a story. Everybody's going to be in on it. And then all of a sudden, you're just going to be like, look, you've unsealed it. I mean, it's like when they say there's an expression, it's an idiomatic? Anyway, there's an expression that goes, let sleeping dogs lie. As long as you've let the sleeping dogs lie, everyone is fine. Once you've woken up the sleeping dogs and they start barking, and then there's chaos and mayhem, it's really hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So I'm using all these hackneyed phrases, but they're hackneyed for a reason. They're really apt, and they're really apt.
Do you think then they shouldn't open them? Is that
they
what
shouldn't?
you're alluding to?
I mean, I'm really curious, but I think he might have opened a hornet's nest, because I do have a sneaking suspicion that I know what's behind it. My conspiracy tinfoil hat on and all that. I think I know what's going on behind it. It's an institutional thing. See, this is, you got to start with an institutional thing. Now, when you're talking about there might have been ongoing operation at the time, this is 61 years later, and the Soviet Union is dead. If you're talking about the Russians, it's a different state entirely. In fact,
what about Fidel Castro in Cuba?
Fidel's dead. Yeah, everybody's dead from that period, apart from Fidel's brother. I think his brother still running Cuba now as he stepped down.
I don't know.
Yeah, funny enough.
Good point.
Yeah, Miguel, wasn't he, or something? Anyway, so
because the Bay of Pigs incident, remember that? That was
yeah, but all that is, and if that's what it will just be a minor inconvenience. If it was the Bay of Pigs and the CIA, someone in the CIA reacting to that, that person in the CIA is dead. Okay, the CIA will have to be inspected.
It will cause a big problem.
It's way long past what they due for the CIA to have a proper cleanup, because that's a nest of vipers right there. It's kind of
never happen. I'm sorry.
Well, they could send in the Department of Military Intelligence to go and clean it up. I mean, you send in a rival agency is what you normally do. Anyway, so, people who got a stake in the game to actually rip out the heart and emasculate the CIA. But I think it goes further than that, because if it's still a problem, I mean, people are taking pot shots at Trump because of this, then it's still a hot issue. And I think the embarrassment of the CIA is not a hot enough issue. And these attempts are somewhat a little bit reminiscent. There's a hint in there of Lee Harvey Oswald, a nobody from nowhere who acted in a way that is really incompetent, if you like. But you just imagine if that 20-year-old lad, I forget his name, the 20-year-old who took a shot at Butler.
Oh, what? At Butler?
Yeah, Butler was the name of the place where Trump was.
Where Trump, yeah. The 20, I mean, I don't know. What?
Crooks, that was his name, Crooks.
What possessed him to do this? And he's dead now.
What possessed Lee Harvey Oswald? This is what possessed this guy at the golf course. And by the way, in other sport, apparently Trump decided on that golf course at the last minute. It wasn't scheduled. So how did this guy know that Trump was going to be at the golf course?
Was that information leaked to him by someone senior in the security services? Well,
who knows?
How can it be? How can he have figured it out himself? Impossible. It must be from someone whistleblowing to tell him where Trump would be. This is where you start thinking, what's really going on? There were strange. Look, with the Crooks assassination attempt at Butler or in Butler, I don't know. I've always hated prepositions, by the way. 10 things that come to mind that people are interested in. There's a lack of metal detection. There was a sniper team inside the building, but no metal detectors or screening process in place.
right?
Okay.
Eh, The insufficient crowd control. The crowd control measures failed to detect or intercept Crooks as he crawled to his shooting position.
But the police were looking after that building as well. The local
The,
police,
they
not
were
the.
actually, you remember, do you remember Epstein, the Epstein
Yes.
case? Do you remember the two security guards who fell asleep
Mm,
and the camera that stopped working at a
yeah,
critical moment?
coincidentally, yeah.
So coincidentally, you do know the police team that was overlooking their room, their window. I watched the investigation. Their window overlooked where the sniper was lying down.
Oh,
Didn't you know that?
no, I didn't know that. But must have missed that
All right,
bit.
I must. So I'm going to find the video of the
Yeah.
investigation, and first of all, you have a look at it, and then you go, oh, because they all decided to leave at a particular time. When nurses for I believe they said, what is the thing they're always making fun of American?
Donuts.
They went out for donuts and coffee. They said, and in just that period of time, the guy climbed up there.
Hey.
Yes,
So what are you saying is that's too far fetched that it's just a
the
number of
person,
unfortunate coincidences,
the
or was
person
it
who there
planned?
were 10 of these. The person, the security officer, I believe he was an anti-sniper what's it called? Special what? Secret Service anti-sniper sniper.
Specialist, yeah.
He actually took the shot on his own because he never got permission to fire the shot. He was asking for it and nobody answered.
No way.
So when shots had been fired, he said, "I'm taking the responsibility," and
Yeah.
he shot because
Wow.
nobody ever responded to him.
Really? Was it faulty communications or
That's what they
he?
claim.
Ah,
Claim faulty communication. They claim also. I mean, it was members of the public who were pointing out
I
to
know
police
where this
officers.
guy is on the roof. Yes, that's ridiculous. Well,
So
the head of the security service has stepped down.
yes,
She took responsibility and fell on her sword, rightly
yeah.
so,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just nonsense. How can you be protecting a former president and the Republican nominee and not give him the protection he deserves? Now, me personally, I don't think Trump's the candidate and should be the candidate for the Republican Party. I think there must be better candidates than Trump. I personally don't like him. However, I would never wish ill intent on him or him to be shot. He still has a right to protection as the candidate, and if he's got supporters, then so be it. That's how the democratic process works. So I
Precisely.
would never want any harm to be done to him. So the Secret Service, who were looking after him, diabolical, diabolical for screwing up in this manner
Mm.
to allow this to even go ahead. And thankfully, he wasn't too critically injured. I mean, the two people in the audience, unfortunately, passed away, but at least Trump was able to get away unscathed. Now, incidentally, I'm going to digress ever so slightly about this. The actual images from that assassination attempt where he was bundled over, but he did stand up and did a fist pump and
Yes.
blood streaming from his ear. There's an amazing picture that was taken by somebody in the crowd of that incident.
Mm-hmm.
Blood coming down his ear, fist raised,
Defiant.
strategically American flag behind him. Now, to me, that looked a little bit too convenient, but hey, it was what it was what it was.
Mm.
However, there are many people in America, supporters of Trump and non-supporters of Trump, who believe the whole thing was staged. So that's another element of the conspiracy. He set up, or his associates set the whole thing up in order for it to it look that he would be his life was in jeopardy, and he's come away, wounded but really unscathed, in order to then proceed and be the people's champion. I
I
personally
usually,
don't believe I don't believe it. It's a conspiracy. I don't believe it's staged because to set something up like that, there's too many people involved who'd have to keep quiet, and I find that incredible. But a
well, more
high
than that,
percentage of people do believe it was staged.
yes, well, there it is. More than that is this: if you are going to stage a bogus assassination attempt on you, you wouldn't have the sniper take a pot shot at your head. Okay? You would go for an arm shot, a shoulder shot, a buttock shot, anything else, even a buttock shot, kind of close to the testicles. So you might want to rethink that, to be honest. Yeah, somewhere safe. At the shoulder, probably shoulder, arm. That's okay. But the air, all it needed was 1 centimeter or in the wrong direction,
You're
and he'd be
gone.
half his brain would have gone. So no, but a gust of wind, anything, no,
Mm.
no. That's ridiculous. I don't. I call that a load of baloney. I'd like to use a stronger word, but we don't use the
I'm
man
with
on.
you there. I totally don't believe that was set
No.
up. It's just too many factors could go wrong. Too
Mm.
many people would be involved. What you'd have to stage actors all in the crowd who
Yeah.
take the bullet and they're dead, but they're not dead. You know, it's too many things could go wrong and reveal itself. I find that completely far fetched. So
Right.
no.
Rather, the security thing puts me in mind. The lapses in security is what I meant by the security thing. It puts me in mind of the JFK assassination.
Yes.
I was, I believe, it was an Oliver Stone film, and during the film, someone says, "Look, it was a coup d'état. The route that JFK took required him to go past, was it the library? What did they call that building that Oswald was in?
It was the library building.
The
Yes.
library building. Okay, the library. It required a 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
And whoever was in the JFK film said, look, anyone planning a route for the president knows you don't do 90-degree turns because the motorcade has to slow down.
Slow down too much. Yes.
Not only did he slow down, but the limousine didn't even have its roof up. So, and then Oswald just happened to be able to find this perfect location. Well, perfect-ish, because I think he missed, didn't he?
Well,
Supposedly he missed, and you
magic
can't.
bullet and all that.
Well, apart from that, you can't go up in the library building where Oswald set up his sniper nest. Has been the window is there, it's been preserved and everything, but you can't go up to the window.
No.
You're prevented from going up to the window because apparently, if you go up to the window, you go, he didn't shoot the president. See, I'm not everybody. I'm not even a sniper. You can't hit the guy from here. So there, the patsy. What people are saying is that someone was prevented by security from going up a water tower, but he was just sent away. That he was acting suspiciously around the water tower behind where this Crooks guy was, and he would have been the one to take the actual shot. Crooks was a patsy. Crooks was always meant to die.
Oh.
Again,
What motivates? I mean, let's put it this way: what motivates people like that? I mean, like there's a reason. You know, the other guy who, because obviously
at the
the
Trump's, what do you
golf
call it? The
golf
golf.
course. Yeah. What's this letter that's been discovered? See, sorry, we're mixing things for our audience. If you're keeping track here, there
They're
was a
trying to keep
second.
track.
Yeah, there's a second attempt on Trump's life. The first one was a sniper at a rally, and we've already touched on it. Trump did get caught in the ear. Unfortunately, a spectator, one or possibly two, even died. But the perpetrator was shot and killed. He was a young man, 20 years old. But subsequently, as Ty has already alluded to, Trump was on a golf course that he only planned at the last minute, and an alleged shooter was there to try and shoot at him. But on this occasion, he was apprehended. In fact, he ran away because he was spotted, and the security services did their job.
They shot at him.
They did, and he ran.
Yes,
and he ran away. And they caught him. And subsequently, they found this note, which literally just hands down puts him in as the culprit. He's written this letter to a friend and left it in there in some place for them to find, that basically says, I was going to shoot Trump. I want him to be killed. I'm going to raise 150,000 for someone to finish the job if I don't succeed. Now, who in their right mind, clearly that would imply that this guy isn't all there, to write out a letter, spilling the beans and then leaving it in a place that then the security services and the police would find it and implicate you? That just seems too convenient to me. I'm not sure about this second case. Yes, he was going to take a shot, but really, he's put the warts and all of what he was doing in a letter. I just find that crazy. He's not all there.
Well, there seem to be many of them. By the way, the names of these individuals are Thomas Matthew Crooks, was the guy the 20-year-old who tried to shoot Trump at Butler.
He had no history either. He had nothing. He wasn't even an extremist view. He didn't have any.
Well, neither. Well, again, all this is leading up to my theory, very nicely,
thesis.
By the way, my thesis. And the other gentleman, is called Ryan Wesley Ruth, Routh. I don't know if that's Ruth or Ralph. Who knows? Ralph. So of Palm Beach, Florida, and he's an interesting character because obviously he is tightly involved with the Ukrainian war, and it seems to be that these people get a bug, and they get really emotional about something. Now, I'm not really sure what it was in the case of Crooks. But in Ruth's case, he felt, and what's his name, the president of Ukraine,
Zelensky,
they're reacting to Donald Trump saying he's going to end the war in just 24 hours or something. So they're worried. That is, Trump being Trump is so unpredictable that he could just get into office and say, okay, no more weapons, no more money, sit down with the Russians, end of story. Which would be catastrophic for a lot of people who are making a lot of money out of this war. And the Soviet Union the Soviets, I would say, they had a fantastic name for people like this. And it has been taken on in English language, and it's kind of something. Useful idiots. The Soviets used to look in countries for useful idiots, for people that they could teleguide and who would do things which, anybody who was not an idiot would think, well, I'm not going to do that. But you'd always find someone who was useful and an idiot. The patsy, the fall guy, the patsy, basically.
How do they find these people? Do
They
they put them under pressure?
No,
or do
they self-select.
Offer them. They self-select. They get volunteer
fame,
for the role.
the urge to be famous, the urge to do something in history. They want to make a name for themselves.
Wow.
And the urge to make a name for yourself among some people must be tremendous. It must be. I mean, people do all sorts of weird things. What do you call an influencer? What do they call an something influencer? Social media influencer or something?
Social media influencer, yeah.
A social media influencer died 2-3 days ago, drinking, what was it, bleach or something on camera. He said he would, and he did, and then he died.
Why? just to get
he
views.
didn't think just to get views. I don't think he thought he was going to die because he just didn't understand the chemistry and the chemistry of bleach and his own biology. And no one to stop him and say, "Listen, dude, you are going to die." And a horrible death, by the way, not a pleasant one, burning through your
awful way of going.
Not a pleasant way to go. So, like I say, you get people who are just so so in need of attention that they will do virtually. No, I mean, the motives were honorable. People who want to bring attention to the murderous spree of the Israeli, I don't like calling that, of the occupiers in Palestine, killing all those children and civilians. But to do it by self-immolation, there's no other way to do it. Do you understand what I mean? I think you could find a hunger strike. A hunger strike. And the thing about the hunger strike is that it lasts a long time. The impact, because people are like, "Oh, this guy is really serious."
Yeah.
So that too. But some people are prepared to go to extremes. Is the point I'm laboring to make. Some people are prepared to go to extremes. So we have similarities between 1963 and 2024. So if you're me with your conspiracy hat on, tin hat on, you start asking yourself, what would be going on? An easy answer, oh, it's the CIA, it's the Bay of Pigs. The CIA was involved, and people in CIA today don't want the smear.
They don't.
From 61 years ago. But I think that's wrong. And I'll tell you why.
Go on.
As CIA director, I believe it is the director. The head honcho is called a director. Probably it would be a honchess now with everybody's DEI. I don't know. Who they had the director of the CIA would come forward and say, be the first to come forward. I said, oh, well, it's been sealed. Trump doesn't need to unseal them. The secret is my predecessor 6, 7, 8 times ago was an absolute knobhead, and he did this and he did that, and he shouldn't have. And we've changed. We've cleaned it up since then. So we've got actually let President Trump, if he wins, let him unseal it. We've got nothing to hide. You take that high road, and all of a sudden, it's not your problem.
I'm not sure that they would take that road. I tell you,
it's the cleverest road to take.
It is. But there could be other factors as well. For instance, the Warren Commission. Remember that? That was the commission that was set up by, powers that be to investigate
Johnson, President Johnson.
Yeah, whether Lee Harvey Oswald actually acted alone or was there other people. And it concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Whereas if they open the files, it could then disprove that and undermine the whole commission. So that then adds further distrust in the government, because that was supposed to be the be all and end all. It had nothing was supposed to be untouchable when that Warren report was being done. They had access to all elements of government, so they were going to find the truth. And so that concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald did operate and kill JFK on his own. So if that then shows that the Warren Commission didn't either have all the access that they should have done, or they purposely withheld information that these files are still keeping locked away, then that would really seriously cause the government a problem, not just the CIA, because it was a government commission to investigate JFK's assassination. And if that wasn't allowed to see everything, then the CIA wouldn't want that to happen. So I'm still unsure that Trump will be permitted, can I use that term, to actually allow this to be fully opened. I think there's still going to be things that will remain redacted, perhaps.
Perhaps, but the Warren Commission wasn't acting on the behest or at the behest of the CIA. It was acting
The behest of Johnson's government.
through the FBI. So it would be the FBI that would be catching it. It wouldn't be the CIA. The CIA would be able to say, well, we were involved, but that was 61 years ago. We've changed since then. And then the FBI would say, do you know, we're shocked that our predecessors would have been so
It
venal.
still undermines them, though, doesn't it? They don't have to go through this.
You just have to go forward and just say, we're doing better now.
Yeah, but he's stirring the pot.
Yeah, but that your way out is to be open about and say, we've heard what, we've read these things. We were shocked that we were ever like that. We've not been like that in the last 25 years. That's why there's nothing that we're doing that needs to be redacted or sealed or blah, blah, blah. So that's the way to go forward. Just go, yeah, it happened a long time ago. It happened. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it's proof
not
of a cover-up, isn't it? That's not good.
It's trivial. The cover-up all the time. To me, it's a non-issue. It's a non-story. It's just be a storm in a teacup. A few people just go, yeah, well, because frankly, anyone working for the CIA right now or FBI right now at this point, really, most of them weren't even born.
I know, but
they don't have a dog in the fight.
If the CIA is shown to have conducted some really weird ways of information gathering, or they put pressure on governments to reveal information, or they protected certain informants even though they were nasty people, maybe it could even show collaborations with mafia. I mean, I'm not saying that is the case. I'm just throwing it out there because we don't know. But if it were to reveal any of these things, then that's very difficult to come back from these organizations.
No, it isn't. Something difficult to come back from. Something difficult to come back from would be selling cocaine to raise money to pay the Contras to fight a secret war in El Salvador that you've publicly said you're not involved in.
How do you know these couldn't be revealed?
They were revealed. This was under President.
It was, yes, that's
President
true.
Reagan.
Yes.
And everyone just went, a couple of people went to prison, and that was it. But this time, no one's going to go to prison. Everyone's going to go, yeah. And I'm still telling you, that's not big enough. There's a bigger conspiracy.
Go on, reveal all. Our listeners and viewers are probably chomping at the bit of your big reveal.
My big reveal. Ladies and gentlemen, never underestimate Tayo's big reveal. I'm going to send you, as I normally do, because this time I'm jumping ahead of the curve. Oh. You usually annoy the hell out of me by saying, show me your links or references. So this time I was like, okay. And I've got them up here somewhere, which I've lost, by the way. Oh, here we go. That would have really annoyed me if I had lost that. That would have been life itself snaring at me, going, yeah. Okay, so this is it, but you don't have to look at it now.
Okay.
It says this. This is the headline, and it's the shocker, right? Ready?
Okay.
It is interesting, but not. This is not the headline, sorry. It is interesting, but not surprising to note that in all the words written and uttered about the Kennedy assassination, dash, 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 has never been mentioned. And the title of the piece, ready?
Go on.
Anyone but Mossad.
Really?
Really. Never been mentioned. Why would you mention Mossad? I hear you ask.
Yeah,
if there's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
They got nothing to do with it. It says, the interesting thing about the Kennedys that is seldom mentioned is that Kennedy's father, Joseph Kennedy, who was during the Second World War the ambassador to Great Britain, is known, is renowned, well, not renowned, but he was known to praise a country that might surprise you. Do you know what that country was?
Israel?
Nazi Germany.
What?
Nazi Germany. The man was a crypto fascist. However, to be fair to him, when Germany and America entered the war, he did go full out against Germany.
So he respected them before America got involved.
Yes. And at the heart
Dear
of it
me.
all, he was an word we don't like using nowadays.
Fascist.
That particular, sorry?
Fascist.
No, yeah, but anti, where the people of Israel say the kind of race that they claim, and anti one of them.
Anti-Semitic.
Okay, well, if we wanted that to go out on YouTube, that's gone now. It's not a word that YouTube like. I don't know. YouTube doesn't like that word. Yeah, he was one of them. He was very anti one of those.
Interesting.
And Israeli leaders didn't trust any of the Kennedys because they thought they were all. Don't forget, they were Catholics.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Catholics and that lot, they don't really get on very well. All through history, they've not gotten on well.
But that's because they're just a different religion. There's always
no. There's been they are. It's not infighting. It is this ridiculous to me. Even when I was young, it sounded stupid. To me, remember I told you I was brought up as a Catholic, right? I did tell you. I mentioned.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And I was told that the people of Israel are Christ killers. And they are reviled for that reason. They killed Christ. But my answer as a small child was, if they hadn't killed Christ, he wouldn't have died on the cross, and then we wouldn't have. So they were just playing their part.
Yeah.
So what's the problem? And I was a small boy, and I could see that. But
that's just people in that faith trying to pick a fight with a demographic, aren't they? I mean, that's just silly.
That is, yeah. I think the hidden motives, as they're using it for something else. So the Israelis,
yeah,
the Israelis. I don't know if that went out on air. I'm sorry if it did. I burped. The Israelis did not trust the Kennedys.
What's that got to do with the assassination of JFK?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
During John Kennedy's, the JFK's campaign for presidency, now this is in the link I sent you, a group of New York Jews privately offered to meet his campaign expenses if he would let them set his Middle East policy. He rejected it. The details are in the book. They dare to speak out. And for the time that he was president of the United States, he provided only limited support to Israel. Only limited support to Israel. Strained relationships between the United States and Israel would have led to a significant deterioration in Israel's ability to survive as a state. So the Israelis did sort of have a dog in the fight. If JFK had survived and let's say spent 8 years as president, the relationship between America and Israel would have been very different, very different. He would never have let AIPAC get up and running, AIPAC. He wouldn't have let that happen. And the world today would be very different. But is there any realistic way that they could have, the Mossad, could have had a hand? Is there any practical way that they could have been involved? You ask?
Well, yes. Yeah, I was thinking that I should have verbalized it. I'm thinking it's a bit far-fetched.
I verbalized it for you.
Mossad, but yeah, okay. You've articulated it well.
There was a gentleman that you've probably never heard of. You might want to ask yourself why.
Go on.
Called Reuben Ephron.
Reuben
Ephron.
Ephron.
Efron. Who was a Jewish immigrant from Lithuania and who later lived in Jerusalem.
Right.
He was a lieutenant colonel. Sorry, that's an American pronunciation. Well, it was U.S. Army. Lieutenant colonel, as they say in the U.S. Army, but in more civilized armies, we say lieutenant. I worked for the U.S. government for decades. He was responsible for monitoring someone's mail, not email. They didn't have email. He was responsible for monitoring someone's mail.
Whose mail?
Well, Ephron was a CIA screener, and he monitored this person's mail from 1960 to 1962. He screened every piece of mail sent to this person, resealed it, and ensured it was resent to the intended recipient. That was his job. And again, you're probably chomping at the bit and say, come on, Tayo.
Come on, you're letting
person?
this hang now. Yeah, go on. Who is it?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
A certain gentleman that you might, well, you've heard of, I believe. Lee Harvey Oswald.
What?
Lee Harvey Oswald. And this Reuben Ephron was a Mossad agent.
But his role, if this is true story,
it is. There's no. This. Just send a link. There, people just Google it. Use a search engine of your. Use no. I don't want to. I want people to not go there. Use a search engine of your choice. This is not in contest. It's not in contest.
So this guy,
click on our link.
But what's his associate? He was just Jewish. Is that all you're saying? What's
no,
that got
a
to do
Mossad
with Mossad?
agent. It wasn't just no. He was.
Oh, he was a Mossad agent.
He was a Mossad. He was working for the CIA.
Was he a double agent? Then?
Yes, he was working. There are a lot of them. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
So he was working for the CIA.
Yep.
As an operative to intercept Lee Harvey Oswald's mail, postal mail, read it, and then send it on again to ensure that it didn't look like it had been opened.
Yes.
What was so it was one way only, I'm assuming. So it was just to monitor what was going to Lee Harvey Oswald. So are you implying
the interest in?
Therefore,
You see, I think it was happenstance, a stroke of luck, because the reason they were doing this with Lee Harvey Oswald was that he was a former defector to the Soviet Union.
That's right.
And he had returned, and so they were like, well, what's he back here to do?
Indeed.
So this Ephron was assigned the job, or might have asked to be assigned the job, for all we know, of inspecting Lee Harvey Oswald's mail. And he would have been, obviously, reporting all this back to Tel Aviv. And if anyone in Tel Aviv thought when it was time to be more robust with JFK, apart from asking nicely, they was like, well, do you know what? We have got a useful idiot in play. And then I kept on, I've all through this show, I've been trying to show you the parallels between 2024 and 1963. And the only people who would still be in play is it the occupiers of Palestine, Mossad. They are still in play. If this blows up, if this gets out of hand, then all the support now for that state is over. It's just done. It's that, and the only thing keeping that state alive is America. If you withdraw American support from that state, it's over for that state. It's just done. They don't have any friends anywhere else. The EU will chicken out. They're already beginning to chicken out. They have skin in the game all the way from 1963 till today. Everyone else, no, that's why I was telling you, nobody else gives a hoot.
Interesting. I mean, we're reaching the top of the hour. That's been eye-opening. Obviously, we'd have to. It's a Dynamite Conspiracy show.
This is a Dynamite
We
Conspiracy.
can say things that obviously we can't really find a lot of backing for. But you're now saying, let me piece this together for in my headspace. So, in the early '60s, whilst Lee Harvey Oswald was being monitored after his return from Soviet Russia, his mail was being monitored, but it just so happened that a double agent was responsible for monitoring his postal mail.
Correct.
So we have to then make a leap, although we have got no evidence here, that this person was not just reading the mail and letting the security services know. He could have put additional mail in to send to Lee Harvey Oswald and create a relationship, which in
No,
turn
no, sorry,
made him the
I'm not saying that.
patsy.
No,
What are
no,
you
no, no.
saying? So
I'm
what's it's
saying,
only one way? I can't see the
I'm
involvement
saying
here.
that he was sending copies of that mail to Mossad.
But
So
what difference would that make? So they knew what?
they knew what kind of person he was, and they could set him up as a patsy.
So separately to these interceptions,
Yes,
they were
someone else
contacted
entirely.
him.
Correct.
Okay, we have got no evidence for that. So we're now involving Mossad as a potential culprit for setting up Lee Harvey Oswald. So you believe, therefore, go
Got a
on.
question for you.
Yeah.
You agreed with me. You laughed when I said they've cordoned off the window that showed that at the library building.
Yeah,
They,
that he couldn't have been shot from. Well, someone says
so
he had to stick the
someone
gun outside the window
someone
to an
tell it.
angle
So
to shoot.
someone. My point is, somebody did teleguide him. He was set up as a patsy.
Right.
So it's not in question. It's you put it like it was like, well,
No, no, no.
no, somebody actually did.
They
The
did. That's
question now
right.
is,
It's who?
there we are.
Who? Yeah,
There we are.
I get that. I
Okay,
get
fine.
that. Who was it indeed? But
Mm.
there's obviously accusations made that it was the mafia. But you're right, Mossad has never been considered. And you now think that this conspiracy could be, if Donald Trump actually managed to get the old files opened up, it could reveal that the actual involvement was not the mafia, but Mossad.
I don't think any. I mean, seriously, the mafia, criminals, just a bunch of criminals, and this was his Velt, sweet operation all the way through. It was fantastic. If the babushka lady was involved, because we discussed her recently, if the babushka lady was involved, she just melted into the crowd and just disappeared. The shooter on the nose, just everybody just quiet and just disappeared. The mafia, the noisy, the rowdy, the hey, Mazzapella, hey,
I'm not
you know,
sure
hey,
about that.
Fat Tony, hey,
Okay.
Tony the knife, hey, you know, right?
Okay.
So whoever did this was very quiet and has not wanted to be found since then.
Okay.
I keep harping on that point that the only people who still got skin in the game is Mossad.
Okay. I mean, we're getting to the top of the hour. We need to sum up. So if
Yep.
that's your summary, I'm not convinced myself, if I'm honest. It's an interesting theory, but without evidence, we could even say aliens could have been
Well,
involved.
hopefully Trump gets in, unseals it, and then I have my moments of glory.
If you
And
think
I
that
will
is
be
the case.
asking for my Nobel Prize. Taiwan's
Indeed,
Nobel
indeed.
Prize.
I'm still unsure, and I don't know whether there's any truth in Trump trying to be bumped off now in 2024, which is linked to the JFK files. I'm really not sure on this particular topic how much there is in there. Tayo has obviously raised some interesting possibilities, but again, without evidence, that's all they are, just possibilities. So we'll see what develops, whether Trump does get into power and whether those JFK files do get eventually opened. However, what could scupper this whole case is if Kamala wins the election, and then those files will never be opened. Okay, unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.